Okay. We have everybody coming on in, but we are going to be respectful and be good stewards of time. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. My name is Melissa Smith, and I am the Director of Workforce Development Solutions here at the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce. And we are so excited to have each of you welcome each of you to our webinar titled Mission Ready Talent, Unlocking the Power of Veterans in the Workforce. Last week, we had the honor of recognizing our veterans for Veterans Day. November is also known as our Military Families Month. And we certainly want to take this time, take not only last week and not even this month, but just every day, take the moment to reflect on the courage and the sacrifice and the unwavering commitment of the men and women who have made that sacrifice to serve our country. So we certainly thank you all. To all of our veterans, do we have any veterans? I know we have quite a few. So if you want to give us a little shout out, awesome, awesome. We want to thank all of our veterans that are joining us today. Thank you for your dedication and the strength that you are bringing to our communities and to our workplaces. We also want to extend a heartfelt gratitude to our employers that are on the call, our community organizations, our education partners, and our veteran support groups who work tirelessly to support our veterans in the workforce and their families to thrive right here in Greensboro in our community. So the purpose of our webinar is very simple. We want to explore how we can unlock the potential of our veterans and what they can bring to our workforce. And we wanted to share resources, ideas, and success stories in a way that's certainly very engaging. We're very excited to spotlight two nationally recognized programs and their dynamic representatives. First, we have Mr. Dave Rakes, who is the Director of Veterans Employment at North Carolina Military Employment, which is NC for me. We also have Mrs. Lauren Bloomer, who is the Program Manager for the Heroes Make America program with the Manufacturing Institute. So if you've been on our previous call, we highlighted the Manufacturing Institute and they spoke highly of the Heroes Make program. And we wanted to make sure that we had them a part of this webinar. Our format will be very straightforward. So our presenters, Dave and Lauren, will provide a brief overview of their organization and they'll have a short presentation. Followed by that, we will have some pre-selected questions that we will share and have them to give some deeper insights. And we're going to try to make sure we squeeze in some time because I know you all will have some questions for them as well. So just knowing all of that, we will certainly make sure that we get everybody's questions and comments, feedbacks heard. We are going to be recording this webinar. We'll be sharing it with you all afterwards, as well as their presentations and contact information for those next steps. So at this time, just so everybody has all of their everyone's muted, we will turn it over to Dave to do a presentation for NC for me.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to Melissa for allowing us the opportunity just to really simply network and talk about the NC for me mission. But let me share my screen real quick. And is everyone able to see that? There we go. So first and foremost, the mission of NC for me is to make North Carolina the #1 state for military employment. So when I say the term veteran community, just know that I am using that kind of as an umbrella. So talking about Guard, reservists, transitioning service members, current veterans, and last but not least, military spouses. So as the saying goes in the Marine Corps, behind every great Marine is the spouse rolling their eyes. So we all know the spouses are the original project managers and do a lot of heavy lifting in the military. So a couple of numbers to take notice of. One thing we like to talk about is the initial history of NC for me, basically how we got started. So in 2013, there was an initiative at the time to increase economic development for the state of North Carolina. That was then under the then governor at the time. Soon realizing the #1 driver for economic development is talent, and then looking at North Carolina as the 4th largest DoD presence in the United States, I think that may have changed here recently, but it's either the fourth or fifth, but that has changed, I think, over the last couple of months here. But the key number I want everyone to kind of take notice of, if you look to the far right of the screen there, it says 20,000 transitioning service members in North Carolina every single year. So those are service members that are exiting the active duty ranks on the installations here in North Carolina. What we see of that 20,000 is roughly 40% want to stay in the state of North Carolina. So reasons being, housing, whatever it may be, but in particular, you'll see in the next slide on a recent survey what their rack and stack of priorities are. And essentially what we do is we help companies tap into that 40% that want to stay here in the state of North Carolina. And then as you can see, the goal continues on making the state the number one goal or the number one state for military employment. But you see there, the MOS is military occupational specialties, usually have about an 80% civilian counterpart transitioning. So that's easy to talk to the service members. As far as what I do as veteran facing, I can look at a veteran's resume and immediately know what they're capable of, what they can do, and most likely what companies they'll have an ideal fit for. But again, the added value of working with companies that partner with us is we can help you decrease your recruitment costs, because usually there is some sort of pay to play model whenever you go on the installations to talk about career setups or career opportunities, as well as some of the other national organizations that come into the state and host events well. So how we decrease those recruitment costs, we have MOUs with the bases, so we can go on there and we can literally talk about your careers to retirees, to those service members that are getting out after their first enlistment, to really kind of posture y'all into a diverse talent pool. So again, which leads me to my next point there. On the military, it is literally the melting pot of America. So you talk about diversity and ethics and all that within your organizations, and military has just an amazing background with that right there. And last but not least, increasing your retention rate. So I think recent data shows off a SHRM survey, roughly 67% of military stay on the job longer than their civilian counterparts. So that helps you as far as reducing turnover. So I think 80% shows 80% of the bad hires are due to turnover rate. So more data there. And then some of the contributing factors for considering relocation among service members here in North Carolina is, number one, not surprisingly, employment opportunities. So one of the ways that we can help service members is literally scrubbing our database by geographic location, the companies that are in certain areas, and really more importantly, the talent that is going to those areas. And we have over 3,000 candidates in our database. And if you divide it up into thirds, it's kind of easy to see just looking at the data that we have. About a third want to stay in the area of the installation in which they got out from. The other third want to go to the bigger metropolises, so the Charlottes, the Wilmingtons, the RTP areas, so on and so forth. And the other third will simply go wherever the job is. And that's usually the younger demographic. But as you can imagine, some of the retirees that get out there late 30s, early 40s looking for that second career, they usually have kids that are finishing up high school, so they want to stay in that local area. And our approach, and I would say the most important thing here is obviously number one, and the really educating the strategic business leader in that organization. So the more buy-in we have at the top, the better it resonates through the hiring team there, especially with the HR professionals. So we talk about the value proposition. You shouldn't hire a veteran because it's the right thing to do. You should hire a veteran because of their knowledge, skills, and abilities and driving your bottom line results. So that's why you should hire a veteran. So we do that by talking about the value proposition, the knowledge, skills, and abilities they bring to your organization, and some of those core competencies that those of you veterans here on the panel today, as you have a military career, you're training the core competencies every single day. You're getting evaluated almost every 30 days to 60 days, and sometimes yearly as well too. So, and then more importantly for HR professionals, one of the added values we have is our CEO, Kimberly Williams. She worked in corporate HR, so she can provide accredited HR training. So if your organization ever gets in a bind, for example, we set up something last week with Wilson County, where we provide accredited training, I think, for 15 organizations there that are moving or looking to relocate to the Wilson area. So we provided that accredited training. And then last but not least, the talent. So opportunities like this to talk to companies that value military talent, that's where I come in. And as far as engaging with the employer and engaging with the talent, oftentimes it's as simple as you sharing a job description with me, and I'll base to find the best fit for your organization. And really the added value too is the best opportunity for that service member at the particular point in their life. Program results. So two numbers there I'd like to focus on. So the group here would be the 18,300, over 18,300 service members and military spouses engaged. So one of the things that we're very proud of is we're not AI reliant. We're a nonprofit, so we're small, and we kind of have that human touch factor that I like to say. So we have 100% contact, whether that's at a hiring event, a phone call, a text, an email, social media engagement, whatever it may be. We are very proud of that. That you have a human talking to a human that can provide you some of the near time or near real time data as far as that service member goes. And at the bottom, I always use the baseball analogy here. I know we just finished the World Series, but you see we have a 53% success rate. So the baseball analogy is you get a 9 inning game, you get 4 at bats, you go 2 for 4, that's 500%. And you do that for, 15, 20-year career, that's a Hall of Fame career. So right there, we try to be consistently great. And that kind of goes back to putting the right talent in front of the right company at the right time of their lives. And program structure, we have a couple of events. I did drop one of the events in the chat there for y'all if you have an opportunity to look at that. But this is what we call our funnel, and it feeds into our Career Connection 365 program. So we have usually a handful of events per year. Sometimes we partner with organizations. This past year, we partnered with Hiring Our Heroes, and we help them as kind of the employment arm of their organization and help, again, introduce candidates to careers. But I was telling Melissa before the conversation, you see the Beers and Careers event in our chat. And you just imagine with those 2 words right there, how successful those things can be. So how it usually goes is we bring in roughly 20 to 30 employers. It's at a veteran-owned bar. We bring in roughly 100 to 150 candidates, so there's plenty of talent. And everybody gets 2 free drink tickets. That's juice, soda, beer, or wine. But as you can imagine, once the hiring manager or the talent manager has an adult beverage and a recruit or the candidate has an adult beverage, it's a lot more relaxed. It's a lot more productive because they are simply just having a genuine conversation. And what we see off the Beers and Careers in our hiring events is that they often lead to a follow-on conversation, an interview, and a job offer. That leads me back to that 53%. So our events are very productive. And, we can talk about a job fair and, you go there, you grab a stress ball and a pen or whatever, but we're bringing in talent that or companies that want to hire military talent. And the last but not least, our socials right there. So we brought in a new marketing person to help gain some more traction in this area. So she's already doing a great job getting more information out there. But one of our biggest engagements right now is LinkedIn. We have a private group there as well. That's for the employers and candidates. So if you reach out, we get connected. I'll invite you to the group. You can socialize as many opportunities as you want. And again, it's just engaging those service members. Is once the service members see those positions or they get hired, it starts spreading like wildfire, and they start to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. That's the NC for me brief in a nutshell. Pending any questions. Hopefully I was within my time limit, Melissa. So I
Yes,
try
sir,
not to go
you were.
down any rabbit hole. So
You were.
all right, ladies and gentlemen.
You were. I want to see a quick question.
Sure.
What I know when you shared the map of the state of North Carolina, what companies are you currently working with in our area or close by?
So right now, Greensboro, there's a couple. One of the biggest ones is Marshall USA. They came over from the UK. They're one of our sponsors.
Mhm.
They broke ground recently on a facility there, a massive facility. One of our former NC for me employees is now working for them. So that's kind of how the relationship worked. I mean, he's living proof as a proof source.
Mhm.
He had an aviation background. They're an aviation company. It was a match made in heaven. So of course Mac went on to a great opportunity there. But Marshall's one of the biggest ones there we work with right now, and HACO, which is
Mhm.
another aviation wing. And we're always looking for employers in the area because again, that's another bigger city that some
Yes,
talent want to go to.
definitely, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I think with all of the growth that we're having here in the area, we felt that it would be crucial for us to have this conversation with you all and with Heroes Make to have that direct connection to our veterans talent. So thank you so much, Dave. And I know we're going to have
I'll
some
stop
other
sharing.
questions. Yeah, we're going to have some. Well, I think we have one. Are there any questions directly for Dave right now before we move on to Lauren? Okay. Had to see some folks taking notes, so that's a good thing. So what we'll do right now, we'll hand it over to Lauren Bloomer with the Heroes Make America program. And we'll go ahead and get you queued up here. Okay.
Thank you so much, Miss Melissa. Let's see here. Let me get my PowerPoint pulled up. Let's see. Back up here. All right, good deal. So Thank you so much for the invitation to be here today. As Melissa mentioned, my name is Lauren Bloomer, and I am the program manager for the Heroes Make America team based out of Fort Liberty. So I am right here. Fort Liberty is formerly Fort Bragg, right here in beautiful Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I'm so excited to have this opportunity to tell you a little bit more about the Heroes Make program. I've had the privilege of supporting this organization for the past 4 years and witnessing firsthand the amazing successes for both the job seeker and the employers. So Heroes Make America is one of the pillars of the Manufacturing Institute. And as a 501c3 nonprofit workforce development and education affiliate of the National Association of Manufacturers, the MI is a trusted advisor to manufacturers, equipping them with solutions to address the toughest workforce issues. At the MI, we aim to support and grow the manufacturing workforce by developing initiatives that address the skills gaps, promote career pathways, and improve the perception of manufacturing as a rewarding and viable career. Although I will be primarily reviewing the Heroes Make America program initiative with you, under the MI, we also have programs that focus on women, youth, and second chance and advanced skills training within the manufacturing industry. So the Heroes Make America program, it creates direct connections between the manufacturing industry and the military community by offering targeted training programs, career readiness support, and direct employer engagement. Through our signature training program, it's available both in person and virtual cohorts, and military to manufacturing events offered both virtually and in person. We equip the military community for successful transitions into the industry. Additionally, we provide resources to manufacturers and employers to help them integrate and support the military talent within their workforce. So we know that retention is a big thing. So in addition to making sure to help you locate them and hire from this community, we want to make sure that you retain the talent as well. This is just a little bit, I wanted to show you a little snapshot of our impact in 2024 from the Heroes Make America team. Like Dave, we're a nonprofit and we're a small but mighty team. So these are in-person touches. You know, we have program managers located at several installations throughout the country, but we're going to different installations and speaking to service members as well. It's just a little snapshot of our insights along with our audience demographics. We still have 6 active training classes going on this year that will graduate soon, and still several upcoming events throughout the end of the year. So we will continue to make strides up until the very last day of the year. At Fort Liberty alone, I've had the privilege to brief over 2,000 service members this year. This face-to-face interactions, it just does a lot, makes a huge impact when it comes to dispelling common misconceptions about the industry. Because I don't know about you all, when I see manufacturing, when I'm briefing on posts, most of the time I'll just see people kind of glaze out because they oftentimes only think assembly lines and only associate low pay. And I will never knock jobs in production because I've seen the wonderful careers and lives that it can make in production. There are so many more jobs within the industry, and being able to have that in-person conversations and really change that manufacturing or the perception surrounding manufacturing and broaden how they see where their talents can transfer and all the career opportunities available. It truly has made a difference in recruiting this community into the manufacturing industry. So let's see here. In addition to our in-person trainings, the Heroes Make America program enables industry partners to elevate their visibility within the broader military community through a wide range of virtual and on-site events and strategic military partnerships. So I know that many of you today are local to our training here in North Carolina, but the talent pool and audience reach will extend well beyond the state borders, offering access to a national network of skilled talent. So not only are our training programs physically located on different installations, but through our partnerships, even with NC for Me broadening, we have a strategic partnership with NC for Me, the Army Reserves, even DOL vets. It allows us to have access to installations and the service members on those installations that we're not physically located. So I want to give you a little overview of the programs themselves. You know, I mentioned that we're physically located on several installations, but the Heroes Make American programs let's see here, enables industry partners to elevate their visibility within the broader military community. Just a minute, let's see here. So with our strategic partnerships and virtual offerings, I wanted to highlight our training locations and program types. Our signature training program is a DoD-approved skill bridge training program that's open transitioning service members, veterans, National Guardmen, reservists, and active duty military spouses. We provide a variety of certification trainings, equipping our students for rewarding careers within the manufacturing industry and supply chain industry. Our students learn a variety of topics to include safety, quality practices, various technical trainings like electrical, mechanical, and pneumatic training, and then also logistics and distribution training as well. We are expanding those trainings too. We have affiliate partnerships that we're developing. So the education partners that we have teamed up with, we see that they are doing a wonderful job and that they host a variety of trainings. So for instance, here locally, I partner with FTCC. And while I am specifically running the logistics and distribution training in partnership with them, they also have pneumatics trainings. They have welding trainings. Some of our education partners have A&P trainings. So we're wanting to partner with them to access that talent, to give a broader variety of talent that we're offering to the military or to the manufacturing industry from the military community. So just to kind of give you a scope so you can see that we're placing our heroes participants into jobs outside of the training that we're offering. Here are just a few roles that the programs have secured. As you can see, you know, not limited to the training that we're providing. Our participants bring a diverse range of backgrounds, from military time and service to job codes to various trades, degrees, and soft skills, making them an exceptionally skilled and well-rounded talent pool. When we first began the Heroes Make America training program, it was meant to target those at-risk transitioning service members. So that includes, you know, your first year and maybe one contract candidate. But what we saw coming through the program were anywhere from one contract to 30 plus years of service. And what we also saw that it wasn't only our transitioning service member that was needing our help, it was our veterans. The underemployed veteran statistics is just incredibly high because they do not know how to translate their skills, as well as our military spouses. I am a living, breathing military spouse. My husband is active duty military. And so just a huge talent pool of candidates that just make wonderful, wonderful employees when it comes to the manufacturing industry. So how can you get involved? Again, I've offered, you know, I've told you we've got several different avenues outside of our training. You know, the Heroes Make America program partners with manufacturing leaders who are proactively building supportive communities of veterans within their organizations, whether you're looking to fill current openings, build a talent pipeline for future openings, or just improve talent retention. You know, we're here to help you, regardless of your organization's size or needs. We welcome the opportunity to connect with you and to discuss how we can support your efforts to tap into the exceptional talent from the military community. I know that I've given a very broad overview and touched on a few things here, but I highly recommend attending one of our manufacturing information sessions to further explore how you can connect. We're not a cookie cutter organization. We know that one size does not fit all. So we can review the specific needs that you have and how that we can fill those specific needs. We actually have our next manufacturing information session today at 3:30. I know it's kind of a short notice on a Monday, but we do host these meetings every 2 weeks if today does not work well with your schedule. But I will drop the registration link in the chat for that manufacturing briefing if you would like to join, as well as our email and the link to their website if you wanted to explore deeper into the HEROES program or the other pillars that I mentioned at the beginning of the program as well. But I truly appreciate your time and attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lauren. And thank you so much for, and yeah, please go ahead. Feel free to drop the registration link. You know, even if these employers can't be on this call, any type of subsequent meetings, we may want to make sure they get that information as well. So thank you. Thank you. What we'll do, so we do have some pre-selected questions. And then, of course, I think we're doing very good on time. So we'll be able to open it up for our attendees to share any questions, share any insights. So this is the first question is for both of our panelists here. I know you all talked about some ways that our employers and workforce partners can actively engage with your programs. What are those specific steps? I know you kind of give like a general overview. What are those specific steps to get started? Some of the concerns I've heard, is, it's a lot of red tape just to kind of get through, just to access the talent. So what would you say is just for both of your programs, the best way to directly get involved?
Yeah, I'll start first on this one if you're good, Lauren. I would say with us, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Again, you'll probably hear the term, we are a nonprofit a lot today. So again, a small team, but again, if you reach out, and asking how you can get engaged with the military talent, it's as simple as having a conversation. Um, Ultimately, what we want to do is usually some sort of virtual conversation. Ultimately, best case scenario is much like Lauren does all the time, conduct tours. So the more that we can tour a facility and talk about your hiring processes, we can paint a legitimate picture for that candidate. That way, we kind of manage expectations because they don't know what they don't know. And the more that you can kind of do that for them, it helps kind of ease their stressors for going through this process. But again, it's advocating for your company, but ultimately having a conversation, seeing where we're trying to identify the talent just via that conversation, whether maybe it's a certain rank, if you will, or a certain MOS, military occupational specialty, that we can kind of guide to your area of expertise. But yeah, I would say I've dropped my email in there. I don't know if I did that yet or not, but I can. I'll drop that in there as well as our organizational inbox. And again, it's just a matter of reaching out and setting up a conversation.
I would have to say the same, Dave. I mean, of course, like I mentioned, if you wanted to delve a little deeper, you could attend the manufacturer's briefing. You could also set up a conversation with me. But there are ways to get directly involved with the local participants here in North Carolina. As Dave mentioned, we host facility tours. So something like opening up your doors to bring the participants in. It's huge. I talk to these service members. I mentioned, I've spoken to over 2,000 this year, but to truly change their perception, they have to get into the industry and see what's going on. Not only will it change their perception about the industry, but broaden just the idea of how many different jobs they can do from the facility. But you can also come into the classroom, our training classroom. During the first day of the class, we have a manufacturing 101 panel. So it gives you an opportunity to directly expose your company to the participants, but also to, again, dispel those common misconceptions. You can host something like a lunch and learn session. If, let's say, because they are active duty military, the installation still just kind of restricts me on how far I'm allowed to take them from post. So if your business might be a little far, but you're still wanting to recruit the talent, you can come into the classroom and host like a lunch and learn session. We have a resume distribution list. We have virtual and in-person career fairs, and they are career fairs that are industry specific. So it's not like you're having to compete with the banks or the police officers or the hospitals or whatever it may be. They're industry specific. So the talent that is attending, they're already interested in your manufacturing industry. So it's been very successful for both participants and employers. But those are just a few ways that you can directly connect with our participants.
I know we probably talk about it more in the follow-up question, but one of the great things that I was certainly attracted to was the community visits. So I know that's something that I know I'll be tapping on you and Dave on setting that up for our area. I know we'll have quite a few employers that would want to be a part of that. Before I go into the next one, talk about how does that work when you can bring those trainees to an area for those community visits, Lauren.
Most definitely. So, for the community tours, they're really big. As David mentioned, he mentioned the military spouse, because it's not just moving the service member sometimes. Sometimes it's moving entire families. So while it's wonderful to showcase the place of business, it's also wonderful to showcase the quality of life that you're providing for the spouse, for the family. Spouses work too. So what kind of jobs are available for them? What kind of schools are available? Recreational activities. So again, showcasing, it's wonderful to go in and showcase the different businesses. So probably touring, for anywhere from 3 to 5 businesses in a day, but also sitting down and speaking with the chamber, seeing what cool events you have coming up, the schools, bringing your education partners in, just making it a holistic experience for the service member and their family to attract them to the area.
Yeah, I was really captivated by that. So certainly, we will be planning that hopefully next year, early part of next year, and have a group of those employers and bring a lot of our partners from our education systems and other community partners for those quality of life visits. We find that we do those a lot with our new business economic development visits. So certainly would make sense to do it for this as well. So I'm looking forward to pulling that together and working with you both on that for this area. Let's go on to the next question here. So Lauren, specifically with the Heroes Make program, I know you prepare those veterans for that cultural shift into the civilian workplaces for manufacturing. What can employers do to support veterans in adapting to and thriving within their new roles?
Most definitely. Thank you so much for asking. There are several different ways that an employer can accomplish that. They can do so by providing comprehensive onboarding processes. I can't tell you how many service members I've worked with that are absolutely terrified of just starting the new job. Hey, do I have to they expect me to show up and just know absolutely everything. They want to know about the onboarding, and the more comprehensive the onboarding, the more comfortable the service member is going to feel. It's a big change for them, big shift. And so those onboarding processes can make all the difference in the world. Offering mentorship programs. One of my favorite mentors, his name is Colonel John Buckley. He says creating the perimeter. And I think when you provide a service member a mentor, whether it be through a one-on-one mentor and a fellow veteran or military affiliated, a representative within the community, or even an ARG, that really makes a difference for the service members, so they're not feeling so alone, because there are a lot of adapting that a service member needs to do when making that change into civilian employment. And creating that supporting environment, like I said, the ERG, and recognizing those transferable skills. They are coming equipped with so many skills, both hard skills and soft skills. So recognizing those and just being flexible and patient. They're going to have a certain expectation about showing up early. If you're not early, you're late, and things like that. So understanding, familiarizing yourself with some of the cultures of the military community to better understand where they're coming from, where you may see some behaviors where like, oh, that might be kind of odd, I'm not sure about that, but understanding that so you can help incorporate that even to making your workplace a better environment as well.
Thank you. So Dave, this question is for you. What I know with NC for me, we've learned that it focuses on matching veterans with opportunities across North Carolina. You did share a very unique approach with the Beers and Careers event coming up. What are some other approaches or partnerships that have proven effective helping North Carolina employers identify those veterans with the right skill sets?
Yeah, great question. Like I said, I kind of addressed it in the slide deck too. The educating the strategic business leaders is always huge, and then working with the HR team as well. But a couple of other ways that we look at it is leveraging the relationships that we have. So, for example, Right now, we partner with 13 out of the top 300 companies in North Carolina. So those are over, I believe, 1,000 employees.
Mhm.
So we partner with those 13 organizations. They routinely share their opportunities with us. So that constantly helps us get those job opportunities out there. The second part that really helps us, and this is kind of one of the values of us, and is our career counselors. So we partner with your name. They used to be the National Guard employment team. Now they're work for Warriors. So they work on resume reviews, career counseling. So whereas we usually do the intake, we see a resume that's probably not up to standard, we can refer them over to our resume team. They get them dialed in, ultimately with the targeted resume for the career field they want to go down. And that type of funnel right there has been so productive. I would say just between them having a little bit more of a career mentor, just like Lauren talked about, it's usually a service member or a spouse that has navigated these waters, that kind of helps kind of hold them their hand, for lack of better terms, and just really get a dialed in resume, talk to them about opening up their aperture, because there may be businesses, the same skill set they had, they just wouldn't have thought about that company. For example, I use our CEO as an example. She worked for corporate HR, and Burger King was under that umbrella, but you see Burger King at a hiring event, you would think, oh, I don't want to flip burgers, but they've got HR, they've got IT. So again, it's opening up that service member's aperture, and like your skill set's going to transition. Again, Lauren hit on perfectly, soft skills and hard skills is just educating them on that process, because it's like kindergarten all over again. You have to re-educate them as they're going back out to this new world.
Good point. Good point. Now, I saw, Dave, you did pop in the chat. It was something on apprenticeships. And I certainly cannot leave this call, I know, with this week being National Apprenticeship Week. Can you talk a little bit about what you just shared with us in the chat?
Yeah. So personal experience, when I was in the Marine Corps, I initially came into the infantry. After my first enlistment, I wanted to change careers, what we call a lateral move in the Marine Corps. I had a degree prior to the military, didn't know I could use that. I'm using air quotes here, negotiating for a different type of career. But nonetheless, I talked to the career planner. They were looking at nothing but aviation careers for me as I was looking for lateral move. But then she saw my video and audio production degree, and she asked, "Why don't I give combat camera a try?" And sure enough, I was sold on that point. So essentially, the Department of Labor has the process, or the process in place where you meet these OJT requirements, you log in your hours, turn it in monthly, signed off by a supervisor. And after a period of time, for example, combat camera, for an apprenticeship in videography, I think it was upwards of 8,000 hours that I had to accrue. But my schooling took roughly accounted for 3,500 of that. So only had to do an additional, 5,000, if you will. But over time, you get that knocked out, because every day you're doing your job and you get in this OJT. And then when a couple of years, I had my Department of Labor certificate as an apprentice in videography and lighting. So it was great. So again, talk about another tool for the toolbox. You put that on your resume, especially with a lot of these trade skills out there, electricians, all these engineers that you have in the military usually kind of hit these skill sets that are, just huge. But I think there's almost one for every MOS, and well, in particular the Marine Corps that I know of, but as well as the vocational rehab that you can go through for training and certifications as well to help you navigate a different employment. Because my personal experience, what I'm seeing a lot lately, is service members are doing a hard pivot. So the old double switch, I think, is the HR term. So they're going from a new career and a new role to a new company. And honestly, it's kind of hard to sell that sometimes unless you had applied experience. So some of those soft skills, or, the certifications kind of go a long way.
Thank you so much for that. I think that would be really good for a lot of employers. We have here in our area quite a few that are a part of apprenticeship consortiums, or they have their own standalone programs. So I think that will be a great connection and learning more about how that could work for this population. So thank you so much for sharing that. For this last question for both of our panelists here, many employers, they want to support veterans, but they may not fully understand the value of military experience in civilian roles. What advice do you have for hiring managers or on identifying and valuing transferable skills that veterans bring to the workplace?
Maybe off, Lauren.
Sure, sure.
Again, Lauren and I play tennis with a lot of these subjects, because it's really kind of the same thing, with both organizations that we deal with. A veteran ERG goes a long way. So back to that initial question, Melissa, like, when we talk to a company, that's one of the first questions I kind of want to ask is, what does your veteran presence already look like? Is there something on your webpage that will draw them in, like a hiring events medallion or military friendly? Because once they get talking positively, you really don't have to do anything else. That, every veteran's a recruiter, so they're going to recruit their buddies and their friends to the organization. And then lastly, I would add, this is my experience with Booz Allen Hamilton. They really don't have to do any recruiting. Everybody goes to them. They're just a big company. But what they have in place is an internal referral process. And I talked to the lead recruiter there. That's the first place he's going to look. So specifically with military veterans, this is where we tell them, utilize your military network to its fullest capacity. If you have a buddy or a friend that works with a company that you love, have them drop your name in a bucket because that's probably the first place they're going to look. So those two things I would recommend.
Excellent points.
And definitely, I have to 110% agree with what Dave said. Word of mouth is everything in the military community. So the impression that you're making on the community, it could be through an ERG, it could be through a buddy, but even if you're doing any kind of out-facing veteran events, how are you supporting if it's something that you're specifically hosting on Veterans Day or even giving back, let's say the toy drop, USO is collecting toys right now to hand out to military families. That's something that you can sponsor and provide, but what kind of face are you showing the military community? But also another big thing that I have seen at my time in this role is oftentimes, companies might have like an applicant tracking system in place where a service member who maybe didn't come through a program like Work with Dave or myself, so they're not very good at translating those skills. So you may have the perfect candidate in front of you, but their skills may not be translated to where you understand it, or they even understand how to translate it as well. So I've seen companies bring in, even if it wasn't somebody specifically affiliated with the military community on their veteran or on their HR and hiring or recruiting team, maybe an employee from the company who is a tenured employee can come and be a panel or kind of treated as a panelist, but they come and help review resumes, let's say, every week or two, or maybe just when you have a specific job posting, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to point out and they're going to say, hey, that resume right there, they have everything that you wanted. They just didn't translate it very well.
Right.
And to kind of negate that, we have been working the past few years to come up with a digital manufacturing readiness badge. So service members are able to upload their JST, which is essentially their JST is kind of like their, it's got the list of all the schools and trainings they did throughout the military. And it's not to a specific branch. Right now we have over 350 different job codes uploaded, but they upload that transcript, if you will, from the military. And it not only says, hey, service member, these are the places where you're trained. You've got this maintenance badge, you've got this safety badge, you've got this logistics badge. This is how you can put it on your resume. But then in return, it also says, hey, manufacturer, when you see somebody with this, these are the skills and talents they have. So being that, again, that ultimate middle person between the two, but really, truly figuring out a system to identify the different, I guess, military terminology and job codes, even maybe if it's a specific job code, looking up what that specific code is in the military so you can recruit from that, like 88 Mike. Let's say you're looking for truck drivers. 88 Mike can become a truck driver in the civilian side from the Army. And I'm sure the Marines have their different codes as well as the Air Force and the Navy, but identifying those two, and there's so many skills translators out there that are at your fingertips from Yield Google. So definitely utilize them as well.
Excellent point. Excellent skills. Okay, great. I was just taking some notes too myself. So what we're going to do now, we want to open it up to our attendees. Any type of questions, comments, feedback. I know we have, like I said, employers. We have a lot of our community partners and veteran supported organizations here. So at this time, we will open it up to you all.
Yeah, David, this is Travis Gowdy from Systems Contractors. I was contacted by a guy getting out of the Navy back in May, and he was a welder.
Okay.
Brought him on. He got home on like a Tuesday. He started the following Monday for me. Since then, 2 of his buddies have gotten out, and
Yeah.
they are probably one of my strongest piping crews that I have in the
Wow.
short time that I've had them. So, I mean, they're hard workers. They're very knowledgeable, very easy to train also.
Yeah.
So
That's good to hear.
it's working out very well. And systems contractors, we are owned by Fidelity Building Services Groups, which I
Okay.
think we have now 35 companies. So we are very interested in speaking with these individuals when they're available.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
We're in HVAC, piping, controls, electrical, engineering, and service.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Very good. Thank you for sharing, Travis. Appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments? I know we have representation from Veterans Bridge. I see you all. Talk to us about how organizations like this can partner alongside you. I know you're probably already working, but how can they work alongside you all in the work that you're doing to support veterans?
Hey, I can speak to that. I'm Jackie Donahue. I'm our regional director of employment.
Yes.
A lot of times we can partner together. We overlap in certain areas. VBH as a whole offers wraparound services for veterans. So when we say that, it's not just the employment side of it. We can support the whole veteran in terms of all of, truly like healthcare, looking at benefits, looking at housing, looking at food, all of the different kind of social determinants of health. We follow that model to make sure that we're taking care of the entire vet. We also have just a few things that we do on our side as we partner with employers to be able to like create community engagement. Everyone kind of together is working towards the same goal. So we have a couple programs that we offer that help with that. And so as we work together, say that you had Lauren or Dave kind of at your location helping to feed talent in, we also have our network teams that can kind of come behind and say, hey, like, let's take care of the other needs that occur. So definitely a great partnership to have. And like I said, there are some areas of overlap, but we kind of look at the person and take care of everything underneath that headache.
I'll definitely be tapping you, Jacqueline, as well, and planning this
Thank you.
visit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love to
yeah,
hear it. Absolutely.
definitely.
Melissa,
I
you mind
have
if
a point. Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead, Graham.
No, first off, Lauren, Dave, thanks so much for the information today, and Melissa for coordinating this. My name's Graham Morris. I'm in the human resources team with Volvo Group and Mack Truck here in Greensboro. And really, I guess, big question from a resource perspective, any collateral or resources that you offer specifically for hiring managers, right? So, and we're talking about hiring managers at all levels, be that frontline all the way to the top of the executive house. And most importantly, those tools that really help from an awareness perspective, and really an education perspective. And I want to keep that, Dave, you mentioned this, but our military community, right? It needs to be just as inclusive of talking about a transitioning service member at the same time that you're talking about a military spouse, because in both scenarios the resumes may not make sense. So do either of your organizations have any tools or resources at your disposal to maybe help organizations like ours, big multinational companies, train managers who many times aren't even from the United States, and how we help them?
Good
That's a
question.
great question. Yeah, I would say resources for us, like I alluded to, we do provide that accreditation. Some of it is kind of going over, what the talent may look like, what some of the roles that they're best fit for. Overseas, that's definitely a first. I think it would definitely be an interesting conversation to have as far as exploring that, because we're open to anything as far as that goes, is giving people the training. And not to say that we couldn't bring in other people to facilitate that for you. So again, our CEO is well connected, and we can always bring in people to facilitate that training at a higher level if needed.
Yeah, and so under the MI, we have case studies. So something that, if you're just wanting an immediate reading for your employees, something that can be accessed on our website. We also do, throughout the year, we will have learning sessions for employers. So we can join virtually and learn. We have on-site ones too. And then yearly, we also have a workforce development, just an event where we touch on a little bit of all aches and pains as far as hiring and talent recruiting and retainment within the manufacturing industry. But it's hosted actually in different locations each year. But this year we were in Minneapolis, but I am so excited that it'll be local, a little more local to y'all this year. We'll be hosting it in Charlotte, North Carolina this year. Now, it is traditionally in the fall when we host that huge event, traditionally around October timeframe, but that is another way that we can help directly as well. But for immediate deliverables, I would say, on the website, check out those case studies where we have discussed those things. We have a board of advisors. So not only are they advising us on things that we can do, but they're helping one another. It's sharing best practices in that way as well.
Thank you, Beth. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Great question. Any other questions or comments so far?
Bring up something, Melissa. This is a conversation point, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, please.
We got about a month ago, we did a tour and they were projecting positions in 2 to 3 years. So what I would add to the group is that on average, NC for me sees an influx of about 100 new candidates per month. So we can project it out over time as well, because, and this sounds kind of rough, but we have a classification of not workable. So that means they're not workable within 45 days because they're still active duty. So obviously they can't take a career, but they're communicating with us what their transition timeline looks like in a year, year and a half. So we have that talent that's kind of building in our pipeline. So we can always have that influx of talent for companies that are looking to staff maybe a year or two out, start identifying those individuals that have conversations now, and again, build out your talent pool.
And are you able, I guess with that 100 that you're seeing, what types of skill sets are you seeing, or potential occupations are you seeing?
I don't know what it is, but I mean, well, it makes sense nowadays. IT and cyber. IT and cyber.
Okay.
Now, not to be stated, I think Travis, there's also, I would say for every 100 candidates that we get, a healthy portion is IT and cyber. There's a small group that's, trade skill related, electrical, HVAC, you name it. And then you have the HR professionals, logisticians, people that want to go into law enforcement or legal. So there's always a good wide ranging demographic, and the administrators as well. And then now the good thing here, being close to Camp Lejeune, we have that medical component as well. So the people that get out for healthcare administration, dental, doctors, whatever it may be. One time I talked to a doctor that came through our pipeline and introduced him to our organization here in Wilmington, and they made him an offer. But we had a legitimate doctor, so that's the kind of talent you're seeing, especially on the Navy side and combat medics. So yeah, it's all of it.
And I'll have to echo what David's saying. Even when you're looking at our programs, I showed the screen of how many different jobs that they can go into. But even right now in my class, my logistics and distribution management training class, I have 21 active participants. Now, some are interested in going to logistics, but I have a representative that has a degree, a bachelor's degree in HR, one that has a degree in engineering. I have some medics. I have several mechanics. So while they are obtaining things like Lean Six Sigma and OSHA 30, that can be wonderful certifications that can go into different avenues of employment, they're interested within the industry. So just a very broad range. And I think I heard, Dave said earlier, they don't know what they don't know. So when you're getting to them and talking to them, the companies that we have seen have the best success recruiting from the talent pool that we're providing are those that have conversations with them. They schedule calls, they access our resume distribution list, they call these, these talented individuals, and they're having conversations with them about who they are, what their company does, and how that they can fit in with their company. Just really, really successful. Anytime that you can have any kind of management trainee program. I've seen a lot of companies offer management trainee programs. Originally, when I came into this role, it was originally for fresh college graduates. And during the pandemic, there was a huge shift in how we were needing to pull talent. We were having to get a little creative.
Yes.
So they opened up those training programs to that mid-level service member that, they had the leadership skills, they had the soft skills. They may not have the college degree. They might. I'm not saying not all enlisted. Some have college degrees, some don't. But they were exactly what they were looking for. And these management training programs, they are hiring them on as managers, but anywhere I've seen them from 6 months to 18 months, but they're taking them through and training them in every single division of the company, because just like the military, any role, before you can effectively lead from above, you have to know what's going on at ground level. And they, like mentioned, they are adaptable, they are trainable, so they're going to learn very quickly, and they already have those leadership skills. So harnessing what they have, implementing them, taking them and putting them into the company has just been very, very successful, and making very loyal employees as well. Dispelling a lot of that fear about the onboarding, like I mentioned earlier, and the fear of what to come, just knowing that they're having the mindset that you're going to teach them what they need to know about your company, and that they're going to invest and give you the skills that they have as well.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Thank you. Any other questions from the group?
I want to
Let's
thank
see.
all you guys for your time today. I got to jump off real quick. I have a kickoff meeting starting, but David, Lauren, Laura, Jacqueline, very nice hearing what you guys are doing. Really appreciate it. And always, Melissa, it's good to see you, and appreciate what you do, bringing everybody together.
Oh, you're so
Thanks, Travis.
welcome. You're so welcome. So we'll be able to give you just a few minutes of your time back. But as we look to close out a few things, we certainly want to take this opportunity to thank you, David. Thank you, Lauren. Look, and thank you, Jacqueline, for sharing about the amazing work and impact you're making with our veterans community. Certainly here in our area, we look forward to strengthening the partnership that we have in the area here as we continue to grow and thrive. So as I mentioned, we're going to be tapping on you, because we want to make sure that we can make those connections for employment, but just overall the quality of life, bringing those veterans here to our beautiful community. So looking forward to putting those plans together and making something amazing happen. For our attendees, thank you so much for being on this call today. We will make sure to, one, include this recording for you to share with your teams on how to get started. And two, you will have the PowerPoint presentations from both of our presenters, as well as their contact information. The goal of these types of conversations is more than just a conversation. We want to go ahead and move the needle. So build those relationships with these entities that you heard from today. We want to make sure that we are continuing to stay in the forefront of having the best and the brightest talent. We certainly know that comes from our veterans community. And so we certainly want to thank you, Dave, for the NC for Me, and Lauren with the Heroes Make program. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for sharing with our group. And thank you all. And I see Lynn. Hi, Lynn. So good to see you as well. Thank you so much for your time today. And we'll look forward to following conversations. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Bye, y'all. Thanks, Melissa. Appreciate it.
You.
Bye, Lauren.